Hello traders and investors, welcome back to the Trend Trader channel. So in today's video, we're going to be looking at some of the companies that will be releasing their earnings in this coming week. We saw in the past few weeks, very few companies reported their earnings, but now things are starting to gain traction. As we can see, the calendar is full. We're going to be looking at companies that are trading either in the New York Security Exchange or companies that are trading in Nasdaq. So in short, these are American companies. So before we continue, I would like to ask those who haven't subscribed to please consider subscribing. And if you find value in this video, please make sure that you smash the like button. And if you have any comment or suggestion, please make sure that you leave your comments. We respond to every comment that we get. So coming back to the calendar, you can see it's a blend of different companies coming from different sectors or different industries. Obviously, we're not going to be able to cover each and every company, but we're going to cover mostly those companies where we are looking for trading opportunities. Because remember, things such as the earnings release, they sort of induce volatility. So we need volatility in order to be able to take advantage of some trading opportunities in the market. We know that in year 2023, not all sectors or industries performed better. We saw that the technology and the communication sector, they performed very well. This is also highlighted by the ETFs that are tracking those particular sectors. We also saw in the past week ETFs such as the SPY, which tracks the S&P 500 or the S&P 500 itself. Actually, it recorded an all-time high. So you can see that the SPY, it closed above $482, with the Nasdaq tracking ETF also performing very well. For those that might remember, we released a video where we said that we are going to take advantage of this cup and handle pattern that we saw on the QQQ ETF. So we took advantage of that opportunity. We still have that position and we are happy with that position. So we're gonna hold on to it as long as the market is acting right. So now in terms of the technology ETF, which is the XLK, we can also see, we mentioned that we saw a similar pattern. As you can see, we still have this nice cup and handle. So we are targeting a breakout around $178, which has worked well for us. Remember, not all setups, they're going to work well, but some setups will work well. So we are happy with this position. It is moving nicely in profit. So at this moment, we are bullish in the technology sector. Coming back to the earnings, we saw different airlines, they have some challenges. We saw that Boeing had some challenges when that door opened, and that led to the stock crashing a bit. But there's also another airline company, I think the share code is safe, so it's Spirit Airline. We saw Spirit Airline struggling a lot. Last week, it fell from just above $15, and then it touched the low of about $4, and it sold on heavy volume. So companies that are within the airline sector, we might not be interested in them at this particular moment. So which companies that we're going to look at? We're going to look at General Electric. Remember, in this list, it's a whole lot of companies. Besides General Electric, you see there are companies such as 3M, Johnson & Johnson, Procter & Gamble. Those are some of the companies that are known to pay dividends. So for dividend investors, those are the companies that you might be interested in checking out, like AT&T. Let's see what else. But there are different companies that pay dividends occasionally or most of the time. So those are the companies that investors might be interested in particular dividend investors. So now let us start looking at different charts. Remember, we cannot predict how the earnings are going to be. We can look back at the historical earnings and then see what is the expected. But in this channel, we don't try to predict the numbers that are going to come. So now looking at General Electric, we can see that it is in a nice uptrend. It's being supported by this key moving average. The recent breakout happened around $117, so the stock is moving nicely in a nice direction. So any positive news can act as a catalyst to push this stock further up high there. We don't have a position on GE, but it is a stock that we'll be keeping an eye on as we are going there. We know the Russia-Ukraine war, it's still happening. There's also something that is happening between Israel and Palestine and in other countries. So companies such as LMT, not to say that they are benefiting from the war, but they supply some arms in there. So we see the stock is actually flat at this moment. So we don't know how long it's going to be flat, and then depending on the outcomes of the earnings, this might either push the price up to about 500 or it can push the price lower to lower levels. So it will be interesting to see how those results are going to come from LMT. And then moving on, another stock, okay, we spoke about Procter & Gamble. So for dividend investors, maybe they can also consider things such as the dividend yield before making a decision to either buy or not buy Procter & Gamble. As you can see from a trader's perspective, there's not so much exciting price action that can make traders to be interested in trading this particular stock. But for dividend investors, for them it's going to be important to know if this company is still profitable, it's growing its earnings, and also to determine if the company is able to increase the dividends that are being paid to investors. So now Netflix, we do have a position on Netflix. We covered the previous Netflix earnings, so we will be keeping an eye on Netflix. What is interesting for us, you can see that Netflix has been rising and finding support on this key moving average. And then we're expecting, or we're anticipating that a breakout around this level, of which it has happened. However, you can see previously there's this level that so far it's acting as a resistance level. So if the stock can have some nice positive catalyst, then we might see the share price pushing all the way up to about 689. We are not saying that if the stock reports a positive result, it's just gonna jump to 687, but it will help the stock to clear this hurdle there, and then it can start trading on its way up. We have a position, so we'll be happy if the news come out positive, and then we will be targeting that previous high there, somewhere around 650 US dollars. It's a position that we are excited to have in our position. So TXN, it's another stock that is involved in tech. We saw that there's a lot of the semiconductors. Okay, so it's not Texas, it's still Texas Instrument. What we saw that because tech was doing well, the stock simply managed to rise here, but again, it is not price action that excites us, even though there's this bullish engulfing candle which came with a nice volume in here. If the company comes with positive earnings, maybe the stock can continue to push further up, but the chart is not exciting. So we only want to focus on companies that have exciting charts, not just any company that is going to come up with earnings. And then Tesla, obviously, all of us, we know Tesla. Some of us may have or have not a position in this particular stock. We saw that Tesla, it failed to continue to push further up. We had a position. We are anticipating Tesla to break above 208 region or so, and also around this region. However, the stock then started to pull back, closing below this key moving average. So at this moment, we don't have a position in Tesla, but it will be interesting to see how the results are going to come looking like, because now you can see Tesla is at this potential support level. So a positive news might push the share price up and then help it to break above this moving average. If it does, that will be great. However, if the stock reports either lower deliveries or decline in earnings, in anything that might be interpreted as negative, then Tesla, we might see Tesla breaking below this level. So if Tesla breaks below $210 level, then we can expect Tesla to come and test this level around $160 per share. However, if it comes with a positive earnings, then you can expect Tesla at least to try and come and retest this $280 region. So at this moment we are sitting here, you can see in the previous weeks there was just a huge selling that was happening with Tesla. So it will be interesting to see the earnings as they come, how the market is going to react to those numbers. Okay, now let us move on to another company, IBM. It's one of those old companies. It's not that exciting. Things could be happening, but it's not exciting. So speaking of tech, we saw that other companies like Taiwanese semiconductor, they have actually performed much better. But if you look at companies such as Intel Corporation, in terms of the chart, it is lagging behind other semiconductor manufacturing. Yes, it is nice in an uptrend. However, if you look at companies like AMD and Nvidia, this one is lagging it's lagging behind those other market leaders. However, we're gonna see if it's going to break above this, something that looks like a symmetrical triangle. So a nice thing would be a breakout above this level, especially if it's accompanied by a big volume. That would be an exciting position to consider taking. I mean, you look here, there was something that looked like a bullish flag, and then there was that breakout that happened with a decent amount of volume. So we'll be looking for similar price action happening in there with Intel Corporation. Again, it is not a leading semiconductor in terms of price action. It might be a good company if you look at if you consider other things such as fundamental analysis, but if you consider technical analysis, it is lagging behind the other companies. And then we have Visa. We know that Visa has performed very well in the past. We don't have Visa in our portfolio, but we covered Visa previously. So looking at the chart of Visa, we saw that there was this previous high just below $250. So we're waiting to see if Visa was going to be able to break above this level, and you can see around November it managed to break above this level and it moved all the way to about 270. So now, considering the distance between the moving average and where the price is at, it is a bit extended. However, positive news can make the price to be even more extended. It is something that you have to keep in mind whenever you're looking at the chart. Whenever there is a positive catalyst and the stock is moving in the right direction, like the stock is moving up, then there's going to be a blend of surprises. There could be gap ups. Just because the price is away from an indicator or a potential support level does not mean that the stock won't continue to move further up. But for us, we will not be chasing Visa. We are happy that where Visa is at the moment, but we're not going to chase the stock. Okay, and then what else that you're going to look at? There's also American Express, AXP. It's also another company that is involved in payment systems the same way as Visa is. However, it is not performing. Like if you look at the chart of American Express, it is not as exciting as Visa. I mean, if you look at the chart of Mastercard, you would see that Mastercard is performing in an interesting manner. Also, it's another payment gateway system. We saw that there was a breakout with a bit of break and retest before the price continued to push further up. In terms of risk to reward, you can see that there is less risk between between Mastercard in comparison to Visa. However, Mastercard is not going to be releasing their earnings this coming week, so we can overlook this chart and focus on Visa alone. Lastly, what else is there? We see there's Colgate Palmolive, but again, it's one of those companies that has been paying dividends for so many number of years. Sometimes the price action of these companies, it is not exciting, but from an investor's perspective, as you can see, the share price is just moving sideways. However, the company continues to pay dividends. So again, for traders, it's not something that might be exciting, but for investors this is something that might be exciting. So now coming back, we're getting this information from Earnings Whisper on Twitter. You can follow the Twitter handle there so that you get this information, and then you can look at other companies that you are interested in. From our side, what we are going to be doing this coming week, we will be waiting for these companies to release their earnings and then look at how the market reacts to those numbers, especially for companies such as Netflix and Tesla. By the end of the week, you can expect some analysis from us of these companies, how the price action behaved after the numbers came out. Obviously, we are more interested in positive numbers. If any of these companies does not come with positive numbers, then we might not be interested in that particular company. So that's it for today. If you found value, please make sure that you smash that like button, and if you haven't subscribed, please make sure that you subscribe. We will see you in the next video.